Joining us today, we have two of the most exciting fighters of the 90s and 2000s. First, we have former lightweight standout Ivan Robinson, who had the Ring Magazine Fight of the Year 1998 and the Upset of the Year 1998 with his battles against Arturo Gatti. Ivan Robinson, Philly's own, in the house. Joining us, and Ivan, we have Brooklyn's own former welterweight champion of the world, Paulie Malignaggi, known for his battles with Ricky Hatton, Miguel, Cotto, Adrian Broner, and the list goes on. Let's chop it up with these dudes.
What's up, homie? What's good with you?
Mighty Ivan.
Mighty.
How you doing, Mr. McCart? Bronco?
Sure.
Dude,
You all right?
what time is it in New York? It was 9. Oh, shit.
It's exactly
9 or 9.
let me see, 9 o'clock.
Ivan, you're in New York?
He's in Philly.
No, I'm in Philly, champ.
Time zone.
Same time.
What's good with y'all, man?
We're good,
Wait.
but we were talking about Paulie Malignaggi.
We're waiting on
What
Paul.
about him?
Waiting on Paulie.
Huh?
He's about to fight a YouTube guy.
And?
You know, what's the word mockingbird? Like, what? I mean, any fighter that's fought like you and me, time we get into a ring with somebody who is not a fighter, we should sleep them or just beat the brakes off them.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If there's any fighters that you guys want us to interview, old school, new school, whatever, let us know, because we're here for you guys and we'll make it happen. Now just please take a quick second to subscribe and like. It's pretty impressive. Peace.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Just to let them know
But
the game.
you know how it is nowadays, Jeremy. Excuse my expression, Bronco. Niggas just trying to get a check.
Oh, because then
That's all they trying to do, man.
Riddick Bowe's getting a check too then.
Riddick Bowe's fighting. You heard that? On the same.
I mean, it's to a point. I understand it, but I mean, really, what do he has to prove, man? I mean, that's crazy. I know his reflex is probably 6 times worse than all 3 of ours put together.
Oh, good.
Him and Paulie are fighting under the same. That's celebrity boxing, which I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I know the guy who doing it, Damon Feldman.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Damon real well.
How do you?
I want to know what it's about, though. I mean, are they really getting some real money for that, or what's the deal?
Yeah. What is real money for a guy like Riddick Bowe?
I mean, that must.
I mean, I don't know what his finances like, but from what I'm hearing, he don't have a lot of money. So I guess a $5,000, $10,000 check is good for him.
Wow.
Would you ever get back in?
Hell no, Brian. No, don't you do that, man. Don't you do that. Don't you do that.
No.
Don't you do that. And I couldn't do that anyway because Jeremy probably smacked the hell out of me.
That's my boy. Ivan's like a super cruiserweight these days.
Oh shit.
See, you play too much, Jeremy.
What?
Half man, half amazing.
What you step on a scale right now, what does it look like?
I stepped on a scale last week. I was at 205.
Super cruiser. What?
205, man.
That's bridge.
Well, that's the MMA light heavyweight. You're good, man.
That's a bridge.
All right,
Yo, but
man, that's a fat guy weight in boxing.
And you got one of the best prospects out of Philly right now is Jaron Ennis.
I know he terrible, man. He's really something to reckon with.
He is.
I remember that kid when he first stepped in. When he first came in the gym, his dad brought him in the gym. He was about 4.5. And you know when you get little kids in there doing their little thing, you all super happy about it and like, oh yeah, he gonna be the next champion. But then when he started beating up on guys in the Pennsylvania Golden Gloves and start making a name for himself, you had to be like, man, look, that's that time. You know how it was when in our time when we came through and we was in the gym at 6, 7, and 8 years old, man. We we knew what we wanted to do, and he knew what he wanted to do back then. His dad knew what he wanted to do. Yeah. Both his brothers was pros. So, you know, I guess that was something that trickled down from his dad to his two brothers, and he just took and ran with it. And that's probably the best thing ever happened to him.
Jeremy, follow a current boxing. Jeremy, this dude is a 47-pounder. He is 5'10", switch hitter.
47 pounds, 5'10". Wow. Yep.
Yeah, he only 147.
And hits like a truck. Goes lefty, ball back.
Oof, damn, Gina.
Yeah, he's something to reckon with, man. He's right around the corner from my gym, so I see him so often. Like I said, I know his dad and his brothers and his mom pretty well. He's a well-mannered kid. And one thing I like about him, he always in the gym. I mean, even if he's not fighting, he's still in the gym training, and then he always helping the youth. He has a lot of young kids that, you know, follow him, admire him, and just love him. So he's like at every fighter's fight. He's always, if he's not in the corner, he's in the crowd. So he's a pleasing guy, man. He's a very well-known guy, and I like him because he's very humble. And that's something I try to tell a lot of my fighters nowadays. You know, like when we came through our sport, when we was in the early 90s, late 80s, we knew how to be humble with it. You know what I'm saying? Like Bronco, I followed you, and I was all the way down here in Philly, you know, and people didn't understand why I followed you so much. I mean, you was just a rugged, tough guy, excuse my expression, took no shit, and just what it was. Jeremy was just like, excuse my expression, fuck it. I'm gonna just knock your head off. It don't even matter.
Well, let me.
You know, and I knew Jeremy since the amateurs.
Let me correct you. I think you think I'm Bronco McCart, which I'm not.
What I call you? I said Bronco?
Yeah, I'm not Bronco McCart.
Huh? What'd you say?
Yeah, Bronco twice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Huh?
Marco.
Bronco.
Not Bronco.
Oh, okay, my bad. I've been hit too many times.
You know what I mean?
Do you talk to Meldrick Taylor at all?
No, honestly, to be honest with you, Meldrick is like, it's just his name. I mean, I don't see him, and I'm very known in the city, you know, and I go to a lot of places, but I don't see Mel at all.
No.
He don't come to no events. I do a boxing event every summer in a Nicetown section where me and Meldrick grew up at. I haven't seen Meldrick to one of my events, not one time.
So I heard there was something, right, where he got arrested a few years ago?
Yeah, he got arrested, yep.
Is he doing okay? Do you know anything about him?
Yeah, he good. You know, as they say, the streets talk. So he's doing well. He's good, but he's invisible.
Shit happens.
Yeah,
it does.
That was one of the most talented fighters. It's kind of fucked up what happened. You know, I feel like Chavez really just made things go in a different direction for him. Yeah,
it definitely did. You're definitely right about that. I don't even know why he took a second fight. I can't say. I'm not gonna say because I never was in that position to do that. My position was a little different. I was on the winning side when the second fight came through with me and Gatti. So I really couldn't tell you. I don't know. But he's a good dude. It's not like his name is tarnished. It's not like you come to Philly, you hear all bad kinds of things about Meldrick, because he never was that type of guy.
How was it being in there with Gotti? What do you remember from those fights?
Now, how would I know that you would ask me something like that? It was exciting. I mean, that was my first big fight that I had to fight with Philip Holliday on HBO that I thought I won, but I didn't win it. That was the Gatti fight was my coming out party. Mm-hmm. You know, I knew what I could do. I think other people knew what I could do, but it was like to the point they wanted to know, was the Ivan Robinson going to really come into the fight and beat the Ivan Robinson? And it shocked a lot of people. You know, I mean, I planned to. Well, I ain't gonna say I planned to fight because I never even thought about the fight happening because it was crazy. Just like a year and a half before that, me and Gaddy was in camp with Pernell Whitaker, getting Pernell ready for De La Hoya.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy. Me and Gaddy never sparred. We always worked with Pernell. Always. So I never looked at me and Gaddy fighting. And even when he was on his A game and he was at the top of the pivotal as that guy, I never even thought about fighting. And we was promoted by the same management, promotional company, which was Main Events. So I never thought it would happen. But when it happened, it was like, excuse my expression, sit on the taller than shit or he would get off. And that was my coming out party because he was the fighter that I needed to
beat.
You dumb. To show my talent. You guys know as well as I know, styles make fights. And I think that was a bad fight. There was no way in the world that Gaddy was gonna beat me unless I just had a real bad. Gave him the mic. He was like, I'm gonna just say one thing. Ivan Robinson don't bring guns to how you gonna bring a knife to a gunfight. So, I ignored it and I said what I had to say. We shook hands, took pictures, and I left. And when I got in the car, I asked my right hand man, I was like, yo, what did Gaddy mean by that? And he was like, oh, Paulie, what's up, Paulie?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
What's up, Paulie?
I'm good. How you?
All right, man. Sorry, guys. I totally forgot. I was celebrating the Italy European Cup win today, the semifinal win, and I totally lost track of time.
Yeah, it's all good.
So they was like, and I said to my man, I was like, what do Gaddy mean a knife to gunfights? It was like, man, he said you hit like a little pump, and he got the bigger guns. I was like, all right, well, it is what it is. And like right before we went out to the ring, when I had the ring walk, because I was the first guy out. Before we went out, I had told my whole team, I was like, yo, because the whole 6 weeks in camp, all I did was just box. But 30 seconds right before the walk out of the ring, I got with my team, we always get in the huddle and we prayed. And I turned to him and I said to him, I said, yo, I'm going to make this fight a war. It was like, nah, man, he punched too hard. You don't need to be standing. I like, man, I don't care what y'all said. And I ran out to the ring. And that first round, it was like, I don't know, man. Something went all through me, man. That was crazy. I think I almost threw like 200 punches that round.
The Philly fighter in you went through you. That's what it is.
You know what? You might be right, Paulie. You definitely might be right, baby. But that was the greatest fight in my career. And it was just crazy. I never even thought of the second fight happening. I was just expected to move on. I wanted to fight Shane Mosley, but we was gonna fight Shane, but Shane didn't want to pay me no money in my city. So, they came back with the second Gaddy fight, and I made more on a second non-Gaddy championship fight than I would have made with the Shane Mosley fight. So I took the Gaddy fight.
You ever fight Shane in the amateurs?
No, Jeremy, he was bigger than me. He was 32, I was 25.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Paulie, what was your most flying fight? When?
My most biggest win, my most memorable win.
Yeah.
I don't know, probably either one of the title fights. I think the Zinchenko fight meant a lot to me because I had to go to Ukraine. US TV wouldn't buy me. It was for the world title, and people were basically trying to use me as like an American name fighter for him to defend against, because he had made like 6 title defenses, and basically he was looking to get a win over a recognizable American fighter so that he could come kind of fight in the United States afterwards. So they US TV didn't even buy it. I was pissed. I was annoyed. We couldn't win the purse bid because I was a mandatory contender. So they won the purse bid. I had to go to Ukraine to fight him. And so I was thinking, I actually went there thinking I was going to get robbed, but I said it's out of my control, so just box my best fight, and if they rob me, they rob me. But you know what? I'm going to give my best performance. Sometimes people say, "Oh, we'll take it out of the judge's hands, knock the guy out." But if that's not your style, you end up getting yourself knocked out in the process. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? Instead of taking that approach, I'm going to fight my best fight. And if they rob me, they're going to have to say, yo, that little motherfucker could fight. You know what I mean? You know what? They may rob me, but they're going to leave saying, yo, that guy could fight, And that was just my intention. I wasn't, I mean, I don't get a lot of stoppages, so I didn't think I was going to stop him. Right. So I just thought I'm going to box his ass off and just dazzle him and dazzle these people. And then if they choose to rob me, they'll know, wow, that guy kick a fight, And then I knew since American TV wasn't buying me anymore, if I didn't come back with a title, American TV would not buy me anymore, So keep not buying me. So I knew it was kind of like my last stand. I said, you know what? If you're gonna go out with your best performance. If they rob you, they rob you. And they made it on like a little BS pay-per-view in the U.S. on a Sunday afternoon. And it was like a local pay-per-view type of thing, and in Ukraine it was a big fight. It was he was the world champion, he had the WBA title, and he was undefeated. He had been an Olympian, hadn't really fought a high level of opposition, but in his country he was kind of like the man at that time. So
what about the fight?
What about the who? Mm-hmm. The Zab Jude fight.
Yeah,
that was a big local fight. I think they made that fight maybe a little bit late. They tried to squeeze one last little bit of little drips of juice out of us. Because they made that fight right after I lost the Broner fight and Zab had just lost to Danny Garcia, but we had both lost competitive big main events. Like Zab had comported himself well in the Danny Garcia loss. He'd really had a few big rounds at the end, and had bloodied up Danny and had shook him up a little bit late in that fight. But he'd lost the big majority of the early rounds. But since he closed strongly, it was a moral victory for Zab. Right. And then with my fight with Broner, it was a controversial decision, and I'm thinking I'm going to get the rematch, and it didn't come my way, and nobody even lobbied for it on my behalf. It was part of the reason why I ended up leaving Golden Boy for Al Heyman. Because I was like, yo, these people. I did all this for them. I went to Ukraine and brought home the title, and they're not even this is a controversial decision. They're supposed to be one to make this rematch, and nobody would lobby for it. So I was like, you know what? If it's just business, then it's just business for me too. And I left, So when I left, Al and Sam wanted to make the Judah fight, and I was kind of disgruntled because it was going to pay about half as much as I made for Broner. Still good money, but it was half as much. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm done, man. Screw this. I'm done. I'm supposed to be getting double the money I made for the Broner fight. Instead, I'm making half the money I made for the Broner fight. No way. No way. I should still have my title, Yeah. And eventually they were like, nah, you get this, and we'll get you paid afterwards. Don't worry. You just got to win this fight. And eventually they just, they talked me into it, as all fighters tend to get talked into it, because, you either fight or you don't get paid, So you either fight or you're done, So when I looked at it, I'm like, where am I going to make this kind of money anywhere else? It's half of what they paid me in the Broner fight, but I'm still not going to make this kind of money anywhere else, So I was like, all right, I'll take it. And so it was it developed. It was like a big barbershop fight, Like all the barbershops talking about that fight, I would go into the barbershop and everybody had something to say,
Yeah. Let's go forward. What the F you got going on now?
Now nothing, man. I'm discussing some things with a couple of people. I can't put it out there yet. I may be back soon. I'm in some talks with a couple of different people. I can't put it out there, but something will be out soon. Otherwise, what I am doing right now is just doing freelance work. Like I'll do a freelance job here and there, commentating small gigs and whatnot. But I am in contract discussions with a couple of sides, and I may have something coming on soon. But in the meantime, I'm doing a lot of freelance work. I even did some freelance work. With BYB and a couple of small shows as well. Just something to keep me busy and keep me sharp, so keep my tongue sharp, so to speak.
One thing.
I also got this YouTuber guy that ended up developing into something that I'm probably just gonna. We just did the deal to do a fight, do an exhibition fight in October. So I might just whoop his ass in the process, because that's the kind of guy that I could probably whoop his ass without even training, or
Wait,
or
so
not even. I don't necessarily have to do a training camp for that kind of guy. You know.
is that fight?
You know, Paulie, y'all know Paulie is the gift of gab, man. Paulie is one of the most underrated fighters that can talk, man.
So
Paulie, that's what brought me on to you, man. You just talk so well.
Holy, that Corey B thing, like 100% is happening.
Yeah. It's done. I mean, I got to iron out a couple little things,
That's
but
what.
it's like it's they've got a date and venue October 10th. I've got to iron out a couple of things, but it looks like it's done. It's
Where's the show?
it picked up more steam than I thought it would. Honestly, man, I thought it was gonna be some guy that I found that when I found him I was gonna smack the shit out of him, you know. But instead it turned out into something where like. You know, it picked up. I don't know, but we live in a weird generation, bro. Like these kids today get interested into the weirdest stuff, man, and it just picked up and picked up and picked up. So you know what? I can make a check out of it. I'm gonna beat his ass.
For people listening and watching, Corey B has never. I don't think he's sparred more than 5 times. I mean, it's good.
I mean, I told him I'm good. You guys of my generation are a little older. You guys have probably seen this movie. A lot of young kids haven't. The Great White Hype. You seen that movie? Great White Hype with Damon Wayans. I told him, bro, I'm gonna do you like Damon Wayans did Peter Berg in The Great White Hype. You think I'm kidding? That's how I'm gonna do it, bro. I'm gonna record myself smoking hookah. Look, I got the hookah out right now. It's how I'm training for Corey B. And then I'm going to show up and I'm going to knock him out with a body shot. I told him I'm going to use my left hand on you. And I'm going to hit you with jabs, hooks off the jab, and I'm going to stop you with a body shot. You're going to see.
I mean, he doesn't stand a chance because it's crazy. I thought the reality would get to him before he stepped in too deep, you know what I'm saying? But instead it just picked up so much momentum. I'm sure he's training really hard. Don't get me wrong. I used to train hard too my first year of boxing, but I couldn't get in the ring with somebody.
Look, this guy, this fight for him is like a step. He thinks you're a stepping stone to bigger, better.
Of course, I know, and I understand. And here's the thing, Jeremy. I will give him credit in that he's actually going after a boxer. Like maybe he's a little too stupid to realize what he's doing, but he's going after a boxer. Like all these other guys are not fighting boxers. They're using boxing, but they're going after each other. They're going after non-boxers. This guy is either ballsy or he's dumb, or maybe he's both. But he's going after a boxer. So yeah, he may want the stepping stone. The only credit he's going to get is he actually chose a boxer to get into a beef with, and actually follow through with the beef and go into a fight. But to tell you the truth, I mean, he's going to get his ass whooped. You know what I mean? Like
Okay, please, but tell it, how did it start? How did this start?
Yeah.
He basically was on, you know, I listened to the radio, and he basically starts this whole thing where like he was in the gym, and I've trained in New York gyms, bro. You know what I mean? I know the level of fighters that train in New York gyms. You know, I know the level of trainers that have, and what they've seen in New York gyms, the level of talent they've seen in those gyms. So he goes in there and he's like, yeah, I was working out, you know, I'm thinking about competing and doing a fight, you know, because, you know, he's one of these TikTok guys. So I'm like, another one. And whatever, I wasn't really paying attention to it, but I was like, oh, here's another one with these TikTok guys going to fight. And then he's like, you know, I was hitting the bag the other day, and, you know, some of the trainers were going up to my trainer and be like, yo, was that kid a pro? I'm like, that nobody does that. Nobody does that. I'm like, you're so full of shit. Nobody does that, bro. Nobody asks that question. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, bro, you know what? Screw this. So it was morning. I had my coffee. You know, I was kind of amped up. So I'm like, you know, let me call and see if I get through. So I called and see if I get through. They let me through. And at first I took it like as a joke. But then he kind of like started getting disrespectful with me. So I was like, listen, bro, let's put it this way. If I'm in the same room with you, the conversation we both know is not going to go the same way. You're being brave and you got your chest out right now because you're in the studio and I'm on the phone. Like,
right.
Be real. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100. If I'm in the room with you, you're not going to talk this way. You're not going to be this way. And so he said, yeah, I would. You know, it was the whole back and forth, whatever. After that, I had like a lot of energy on my social media. Like this kid got a lot of followers. You know, like all his followers, like all over. I was like, yo, they were in my DMs, they were in my comments, And then I was commentating the celebrity boxing show, and I don't know if they invited him, or if he went on purpose, or they invited him. But even still, he had said he was gonna be there. But I was like, even if he's there, he's not gonna do anything. And even if he did something, I expect him to try to get my face or something at works, you know, with people around. But instead, he came with that powder smack while I'm working, you know, while I'm on the mic, while I'm on the air. So that kind of was like to me going too far, you know.
So he smacked you in the back of the head with alcohol. So how annoyed when he hit you? Were you? How pissed were you, or were you not?
I was aggravated. I turned around, like I took the headset off right away because there's somebody. Sometimes somebody taps you, and it's like, yo, what's up? But like there was like powder. It was kind of a hard smack. So I'm like, I took my headphone off, because even if it was gonna be somebody I knew, I was like, yo, my man, don't do that when I'm working. You know what I mean? I was gonna be like, even if it's a friend of mine or somebody I know, don't do that when I'm working. You know what I mean? But I turn around and take the head, and it takes me a second to realize, and then I turn around, I look to my right, and he's over there already running. He's already taken off. You know what I mean? He's talking, but he's already taken off. So I'm like, oh, no. So my instant reaction was to go after him. But by the time I got to him, security also got to him, because security got a head start. When he smacked me, security already saw that and was on their way there. Me, so they got an extra second or two head start on me. By the time I got to him, so did security. He was holding my right arm. I had him in a headlock. I was trying to get my right arm free to punch him. And whatever. It kind of just became a melee.
So he got what he wanted out of you.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I guess he thinks he did, but his ass signed the. His ass wrote a check. His mouth wrote a check. His ass can't cash though, Jeremy.
That part hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
The part is he wanted your attention. He worked, and you get into his plan.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I didn't anticipate it to go that far. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay, maybe I went into his plan, but I didn't. I think once I called the radio station, I think maybe he saw his opportunity there. You know.
Do you think that he really thinks? Because I hear him saying he could beat you. Do you think he?
Well, I think you know what it is. I think the problem is, people that I hear a lot of people talking, even on my comments and stuff. That I didn't have a lot of knockouts and I have bad hands and stuff like that. So I really think people they've never really been in fights. Even if the guy doesn't hit hard, when a guy can't punch, it's not that the punches don't hurt. It's that he doesn't have concussive power. When somebody doesn't have, when they say punch, a guy can't punch, it doesn't mean he's hitting you with caresses. You know what I'm saying? The punch is a punch is a punch. A punch still hurts you. But it's concussive power. It shakes you. Wow, that's the difference between a guy that can punch and a guy that can't punch. Even a guy that can't punch, if he punches you in the mouth, you're not gonna like the feeling. It's gonna hurt. You know what I'm saying? So I think people that never been in fights, they kind of get this whole thing in their mind where they keep hearing a guy can't punch, guy can't punch, guy can't punch, and they really hear the pillow talk and I mean the pillow hands and all that stuff. And I really think they start to believe it. They start to believe it's not gonna hurt when they punch them in the mouth. You know?
Do you think that believe in? They step in and do something with. I mean, people don't realize how much experience you need to have to be a real fighter, right? So
of course.
Do you think part of that whole YouTube Logan Paul thing is making people get delusional?
Absolutely. But even Logan Paul, you gotta understand, Logan and Jake Paul have at least some years.
Yeah, they're still
overrated and overhyped, but they at least have. It's a big difference when you've been boxing 1 year and when you've been boxing 3 years. Like those guys have been boxing 3 years now. Those first years you're boxing, you make larger amounts of progress every year if you're dedicated, so it's not like when you're boxing 10 years and you're boxing 15 years, the progress is very, very small increments because you're already there. Right. If you're boxing 1 year to somebody who boxing 3 years, it's a very, very big difference. You know what I'm saying? Like my first year boxing, I was still getting to know a lot of things, but by my third year boxing, I was ranked in the top 5 in the nation. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's a big difference between Jake and Logan Paul, who've been boxing 3 years, and somebody like this who's been boxing maybe a year.
Yeah.
Ivan.
Yes, Jeremy.
You've been very quiet. I know you got opinions.
You always been not the class clown, but the team clown. Always.
Yeah.
True.
Paulie, I want to say, man, you one of the best commentators I've heard in a long time since the Sean O'Grady days. Those guys, man, I really like your analyst as a commentator.
Yep.
And it was crazy for them guys to get rid of you, man. For whatever reason, I don't even care, and I don't even want to know that's your business. But they was assholes when they did that.
Ivan, I appreciate you, man. That means a lot.
Man,
I grew up watching you, especially, man. And all the way since the 1990 Goodwill games, I remember you, man.
Oh wow, thank you.
On TNT.
Okay, solid. Thank you.
It's true, man. and Jeremy were talking about how there needs to be more fighters commentating, because most, up until recently, the majority of commentators never put a pair of gloves on.
Yeah,
True.
it's tricky when you go that route too, because unfortunately, even when you got fighters commentating, some guys have their friends fighting, or they have their favorites.
Yeah.
So even fighters can tend to be a little bit slanted in their views and opinions. It's a balance. It's a balance. Between a little bit of fight experience and a neutrality, if you can help it. I always tried when I was commentating, if there was something to be criticized, I tried to criticize it in a way where it was constructive. I didn't want to be the Larry Merchant who basically was bored and he had to make a comment because he's bored. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't the Tour de France or something like that. I want to, if somebody's on their bike in a fight, I want to explain to you what they're trying to do, why they're on their bike, how they can be more effective on their bike, or if they're effective, that's why they're on their bike. They continue to be effective. So what the other guy needs to do in order to stop that person from being effective, that way the guy gets off his bike and becomes forced to fight. There's always a cause and effect in every fight. So the analyst's job is to break down that cause and effect. It's not to be just as bored as a person who doesn't understand it. The analyst is supposed to understand what's going on, regardless. You ever seen Joe Rogan call MMA fights? You got two guys laying on the ground for 5 minutes, and he's talking about the ins and outs of the effects of a jiu-jitsu hold. Look at how he's looking to grab the arm. He's looking to put this in a lock, or look, he's got an opportunity for a triangle choke here. Look, that's what he's looking for. I'm watching it. I wouldn't know what the hell's going on, but this guy's breaking down, with the openings they're looking for in that little hog on the ground. You know what I mean? So the boxing analyst's job is the same. You know what I'm saying? There's a cause and effect to everything, and you're supposed to be able to break that down to the fan and to the viewer in layman terms as best as possible.
Right. And only a fighter who's been in there, also there's certain things that you just, you can't taught, experience it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, of course. Even some of the mental and emotional aspects of it. Guys, like, people like, oh, why didn't he do this? Why didn't he this? There's a mental and emotional stress you're under in a fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you don't think to do that, or it doesn't come out the right way. Like, it's easy from your couch to say that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then sometimes even the fights I was in, I'll look back at them and be like, man, why didn't I do this? Because in the moment, there's an emotional distress that's affecting your decision making. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same as somebody watching it out there. So a fighter who's done it can explain that to the people.
Yeah. So I'm not asking for a number, but does this celebrity thing pay well? Is it going to be a good little paycheck?
It's not crazy money. It may have upside if it sells well. I'll be honest with you, but it's also not something that I have to break my schedule for. You know what I'm saying? Like I can train regular. I don't have to train like a training camp. And basically, it's like I'm hanging out, and I can just show up and get into a fight on October 10th and get paid for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, it's basically like I don't have to really change my schedule around that much to where to my everyday life. But on October 10th, I'm going to show up there and I'm going to get into a fight. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to beat somebody's ass. You know what I mean? Like, for me, that's how I look at it.
So that answers my question with the Riddick Bowe situation.
Yeah, you heard Riddick Bowe's fighting too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume they're getting Riddick somebody who can't really fight. You know what I'm saying? I would assume that.
Got to be, and then you gotta figure he getting a check to pay for gas and electric and that stuff.
Yeah, because Riddick is always going to be a big name, but I don't know. I haven't heard the ins and outs of that fight. If it's even happening.
I don't really care if Riddick has financial problems, but more so, and what's more importantly, is does he have any emotional, mental memories? Like, that's what I'm asking. I haven't talked to him
and he's not. He doesn't seem the most sharp as he's been before.
That he's not.
No. He maybe shouldn't be fighting at all, right?
Personally, on a personal decision, I don't think he should. No. I don't think.
No, I don't either.
No.
But I'm saying, where do these guys get the audacity? I'm gonna say, where these guys get the audacity to bring these guys back and put them in these rings?
What the issue is there? The exhibitions don't have sanctioning commissions. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll use something like bigger gloves, or they'll do less minutes in the rounds or less rounds. You know, like Mayweather and Logan Paul did. You know, you kind of swerve. You're able to swerve the commission if you don't sanction it as a professional boxing match. You know.
What's yours going to be with Corey? Is it what are you wearing headgear?
That's what we're still working out. You know, I love to be no headgear. I know we can't wear 8-ounce gloves, but I'd love for it to be 12 at least. You know, at most 14s. I love. You know, they're trying to make it heavier, so they know I think they know what they got themselves into to a degree. You know, no matter how they talk in public. You know, they're trying to make them heavier than that. You know.
Do you know how many?
I'd like for the gloves to be small as possible, and I'd like there to be no headgear. You know, if you need a reality check, it's best to get the right reality check. You know.
Paulie, go ahead.
I was gonna say,
go ahead, Jeremy.
How many rounds are they doing?
That's what we're working out too. Now, those things still have to be figured out.
Sorry, Jeremy. Go.
Historically, you're not a puncher. You're more of a boxer mover.
Yeah, and that's what and from what he's saying, he knows that too. So you know, I got paper hands. My hands break. So
somebody who's never to think that a former world champion, just because he doesn't have a lot of knockouts, they have a chance is so.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't win my titles playing tag. You know, I still had to get some kind of respect in there. You know.
Yeah, it's insane. So do you not like this guy for real, or?
I think he's a little bit retarded. I don't think he's all there, man. Or maybe this generation is a little bit off. You know, I don't know, because you gotta see the comments I get. He got a lot of support, bro. It's random, bro. It's crazy. I mean, I'm sure he's getting a lot of hate from boxing fans too. But I mean, the way I see my social media, and I'm like, man, yo, these people are really on another level. I am so out of tune with the new generation. It's crazy.
Let's do a reality check right now. How many world titles have you won, Paulie Malignaggi?
How many world titles? I've won 2 major world titles.
And Ivan, how many have you won?
2.
So between 2 people, you got 4 world titles. Top of the line world titles, not bullshit like I got, but real top of the line. You know what I mean?
Jeremy, you're a good fighter too, man.
I know. Why you say that, man? You're a great fighter.
You know, the boxing fans know.
Nobody cares about
boxing history. Jeremy Williams. 8 seconds.
But
half man, half amazing. We know.
Yeah, you had one of the best nicknames too.
Yeah,
I know, right? That's crazy. When I heard that, I was like, Jeremy. Yeah. What Jeremy? Not my Jeremy. Oh my God. I thought maybe you was in some type of car accident or something, and you had some limbs pulled out of you or something.
Yeah, put some metal on my shit. Anyway, we're talking about that. We're talking about you guys. If you guys fought at 25, 125, what would that look like?
Honestly,
I love Paulie. Ivan would have beat me. I would have beat me. I started.
I believe I would have beat him too. I just, I had that killer instinct. I knew when to turn it on. I knew when to step up the pace. Paulie, I knew I would have to have Paulie on his back feet. As long as I had Paulie on his back
foot. Ivan, you also had more experience. I'll tell you why you would have won too, because I didn't start boxing until I was 16. I didn't have my first amateur fight until I was 17. So I didn't get nationally ranked until I was fighting at 132 pounds. You know, my 125 pound fighting days was still my learning curve. You know, at 132 pounds, I kind of came into my own because by that point I had gotten enough experience. You know, and so I had my first amateur fight when I was 17, and I turned pro when I was 20. By the time at 20 years old, right before I turned pro, I won the U.S. championships.
So here's the question.
Oh,
I'm just gonna say both of you guys fought at 25.
Yeah.
But then the next one is 30 or 32.
30 at the time. I don't know.
They fought at 35.
Yeah, 132 was the weight class when I was a kid. When I was an amateur.
Back to the days of our heydays. So
yeah.
Well, Jeremy, back in our days, Jeremy. When I met you, Jeremy, I met you in what, 80?
84,
88?
88?
Yeah, somewhere around there. So I had just moved to 125, and I stayed 125 from 1988 till 1992.
God damn.
Yeah, I know. Don't ask me, but that's what it was. And when I was fighting at 25, I was only weighing 1920. So that's why when I turned pro in 92, my first fight was at 30, but that was the bad decision because the fight was at 30, but when I came to the weigh-in, I weighed like 34.
What?
Yeah, I was big, man. I already knew my body was changing then. So right from there, after my first fight, I fought 35.
How tall
So
are you?
I'm saying, but
5'8".
I'm gonna call you as little guys to the little weight because I mean it's like 30, 32, 35, 37. Like, do you find that there's a big difference between a guy who's fighting 25 and a guy who's fighting 32?
Good
I mean,
question.
much power difference?
Yeah.
And the amateurs,
No,
No, bro.
and the pro, and the amateurs. Honestly, I can't really say because I think the hardest guy I got hit by. It was at 25 was De La Hoya when I fought De La Hoya.
I was
But then I messed around. And then I messed around in the trials. When the trials was getting ready, the 92 trials, I sparred Shane Mosley. And, you know, Shane Mosley, he was a great fighter. He hit me with a good shot, too. So,
well, Shane was at 30,
that was
39.
Shane was at 32 at the time. He had moved up to 39 after that. So, you know, and you know how Pat Nappy used to do us. He used to have us fight, spar one up and one down.
Paulie, who you think is the hardest punch you ever been in there with?
Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto was the hardest puncher I ever got in the ring with. You know, between him and at 140 pounds, Cotto had almost exclusively knockout wins. He was very heavy handed at 140 pounds.
So,
Oh, y'all ain't asked me about the pros.
but so like,
Oh, and the amateurs?
as a professional fighter, fighting at 32 and 39, was there a big difference between 32?
When I turned pro, I thought I was going to turn pro at 130 pounds, but I could barely make 132 by that point, and so my team convinced me to turn pro at 135. So that's what I did. I kind of had still wanted to make 130, but the struggles were getting too hard to make 132, so I was like, I'm never going to be able to lose those last 2 pounds. So I turned pro at 135. My body was still in that fill-out mode at that time. So I only lasted about 7 fights at 135 pounds, and then I went to 140, and that's where I stayed for a bulk of my career. But from 135 to 140, I didn't really feel a big difference because I think it was more comfortable for me. I just was I was dying to make 135. It was actually becoming counterproductive. So at 140 pounds, the move from 135 to 140 was not a big deal. The move from 140 to 147, however, because now I'm not growing anymore. The move from 140 to 47 is just aging. You know, you're putting on aging weight. Your metabolism slowing down.
I mean,
that becomes more difficult. You know, when you're not growing, it becomes more difficult. I think when you're in the growing years, the moving up in weight kind of fits you because your body's physically growing. When you're moving up in weight, when you're past the growing years, I mean, I'll be flat out. If you're doing it that often, you're probably on some good shit. You know what I'm saying? Because you feel the shots, you feel the physicality. I felt it in the clinches. I felt it in the power. The move to 140 to 147 was a much more difficult move. You know, because I didn't grow into 147. My metabolism wasn't letting me make 140 pounds anymore. I was almost 30 years old by that point.
I mean, Ivan, that move from your first weight to the next weight up, did you feel a big difference like he did?
Not really. I moved from 30 to 35. I think that was the proper move for me because I was going into 135. So
yeah, you were still young,
okay.
right, Ivan? How old were you?
I was still young. I was only 22.
Yeah, you're still filling out. Those are the still out years, still.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I did have. It was crazy though. I moved up one fight from 135 to 140. I fought what's his name? The Diaz brother. And I think it was Antonio Diaz.
Tono.
I fought him. I fought him for the oh shoot. I think it might have been the WBA title. It was like they didn't have a fighter for him. They didn't have a fight for him, but he wanted to fight. He was on the card. They didn't know, and they picked me as the guy, and I took it because of money purposes, which I should have never took it. And the first couple rounds, it was like it was nothing because I was outboxing him. My hand speed was quicker, but as the fight went on, I slowed down and wasn't doing a whole lot of moving. And he was catching me with some shots that I was just like, I would never get hit by anybody with.
Yeah.
But like Paulie said, that weight move up, it caught up with me.
Well,
Yeah, because you don't keep the guys off you as well.
Yeah, right.
Well-
They're also physically hurting you more,
Stronger.
and then you
Yeah.
can't even strategically hold them anymore to get rest because in the clinches you're just not as strong, so they'll move you around too. So you lose the ability to do a lot of things that was a lot of subtle things that used to help you in your natural weight class. You know.
I think for people watching, besides heavyweight guys, I mean, every fighter is going in, what would you say, 10 pounds, 15 pounds under what they really walk around at?
But see, I'm glad you asked me that too because it was crazy how I think it was set with Gatti because Gatti was one of the fighters who would make weight, but he would blow up 20 pounds within the fight. Like we fought at 130, we fought at 135, and back then when we weighed in the day before the fight. You had to make your weight, or if you did make your weight, you had to sweat it off or whatever.
Mhm.
Or if you didn't sweat it off, you get fined for it. Me and Gatti weighed in I weighed in, this was when I knew I was at my best. I weighed in at 133 and a half. Gatti came in at 134. The fight was at 135. The next day, I don't know how the hell he did it. The next day, he came in for the weight because they had us pre-weight. That joker came in at 160.
Woo!
Yeah, I used to do that. Man. That was crazy. That was
Came in at 160.
Well, like,
And I swear, Gatti and besides Julio Cesar Chavez, him and Gatti were the only two that ever hit me that really stung me. But when Gatti hit me with that left hook in that 10th round, man, I felt all 160 pounds of that.
shit. Well, Ivan, you add in between weigh-ins? And the next day, I mean, after the weigh-in, how many pounds did you typically go up?
I think I came in at 39. I was on weight. I like I said, that first Gatti fight was probably, even Paulie could say it, probably all three of you probably know it. That was the best shape that I was ever in. I went to camp for 8 weeks. I had a conditioning coach. I ate proper. I went to camp. I did everything right. So I was in tip-top shape. It was no way that, like I said, I was going to lose that fight unless Gatti would have killed me that night. And he tried in the 10th round, but I was just in tip-top shape. But like Paulie said, man, when you when you moving up in a different weight category and you got a guy that's already been in that weight class and he know all the particular things to do to move you around, push you around, hit you. Gatti was known for hitting you on the hip with a cup. On the cup. The second Gatti fight, Gatti hit me so much in the cup after the fight, I pissed blood.
Well, do you guys think that weigh-ins should be done the day of?
No, I think the weigh-in should be done the day before because it gives the fighter more time to rejuvenate, to rehydrate, and to get back to where he needs to be. But I think they need to keep the weight allowance. Baby, I think guys can get away with 7 pounds. Like when I was training, my dad never, ever, ever had me coming 7 pounds overweight, no matter what. Even if I didn't train, I had time off, I had vacation time. When I came back in the gym, I couldn't be no more than 7 pounds overweight. If I was 7 pounds overweight, I had a problem with my dad. So,
what do you think, Paul? You think weight should be done the day of, or you like it the day before?
I only have the experience the day before, so I prefer the day before. I don't think I would have been able to stay at the weights I fought at for as long as I did if the weigh-ins would have been the day of the fight. As a matter of fact, I see old-time fighters that have fought in the days of the day of the fight weigh-ins, and they fought at bigger weight classes than me. And a lot of them are smaller than me, because they probably would have been at smaller weight classes if they fought with weigh-ins the day before. So it allowed you to get away with more by doing the weigh-in the day before. You can kind of rehydrate better. I think there's pros and cons to it. I don't have the experience of the day of weigh-in. I think I went in Pennsylvania one time, my third pro fight.
yeah,
I had a weigh-in the day of the fight, and
that's what I was gonna say. Kind of feel.
Yeah, and so I mean, it was it was a early career, it was a 4-rounder. So I mean, I can't really say it was a big difference. So, but my experience is day before the fight weigh-in. So I have to pick that because I don't really have anything to compare it to. You know, I don't know how I would feel having to wait the day of the fight.
I guess I bring it up because, like you were saying, Ivan, with Gotti and a lot of fight like that. I remember De La Hoya was doing that when he was fighting 5. He would weigh in at like 55 the next day, and
I remember. Right, Corte would get big, guys like that. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and I mean that takes a toll on the fighter's body.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know how guys do it because I've heard rumors about Gatti how he would gain so much weight and then he would break his body down during camp to get down to the fight, and the day of the fight he would make weight, but as soon as he get out the weight, they're running to the hospital and sit him in the bed all night and IV him back up. So it's just crazy because I don't understand how a lot of these guys walk around at these bigger weights, but they make their weight the day of the fight, but then they blow back up to 20 and 30 pounds.
Yeah, I think there should be a 7 to 10 pound limit that anybody can get from the day after, or from heavyweight to anybody.
I think it should be a percentage because I think lower weight classes, 7 pounds is a bigger percentage of their body than higher weight classes. I think it should be a set percentage of your body weight you can gain back if that makes sense. That way it's the same for everybody because 7 pounds means more to a smaller guy than to a bigger guy. A bigger guy may want to weigh more. But if you have a certain percentage of your body weight, then everybody's under the same stipulation. You're allowed to get back. But guys, I gotta actually get going, guys. But thank you for having me, and I'm sorry I was late tonight, man.
Don't worry about it, man.
I appreciate it. Mighty,
that's good. Nice seeing you, Paulie. Take care, baby.
All right, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right,
later.